Let's start in child's pose. If you have any props that you want to use for child's pose, you can do so. You can do a pillow or a bolster, or just be on the floor. If you'd like, you can have your toes together and your knees together and lay over the thighs, or you can have your toes together and knees as wide as your mat and lay in between the thighs. When the knees are together, it can concentrate a little deeper on the spine, and when the knees are apart, it's a little deeper on the hips. And you can stack your hands underneath the forehead if you want a little pillow. You can let the hands or the arms rest alongside the torso with the backs of the hands on the ground, more of an embryo pose. Or they can be reaching forward, just wherever they're comfortable. And as you arrive, you can just take a conscious, deep breath, cleansing breath, inhaling into the back body, and then exhaling to release, softening in the hips, softening in the stomach, in the face, in the jaw. And maybe you gently rock your head, nose side to side, massaging the forehead. I'm just starting to connect with the breath and with the spine, with the body. And each exhale that your body takes, see if you can soften your lower stomach a little bit more. Soften into the hips and just allow the body to accept this position for another few breaths. Noticing any areas where there might be some pain or some tightness or some resistance. And just observing those areas with the breath, focusing on the breath and any areas that are asking for some attention. And then you can begin to walk your fingertips forward. So you get some nice length in the side bodies and kind of root the fingertips down and feel like you're pulling the ground toward you so that you feel a slight lift in the arms and stretching out the back. So feeling the space between your fingertips that are rooting into the ground and your hip creases. And just getting the side bodies really long. And you can go ahead and walk both of your hands over toward the right side of your mat, maybe bringing your left hand on top of the right. And just feeling the same sort of stretch, but now concentrated on the left side of the body. And breathing in from the space between the left hip crease and the left fingertips. And then you can go ahead, walk the hands back to center and take that over to the other side. So the right hand might come on top of the left and just feel the right hip crease sort of pulling back and feeling the space between the right hip and the right fingertips. Continuing to breathe into the back of the body. Okay. And you can start to walk your hands back to center. Reaching forward in the center one last time. And now root the palms of your hands into the ground. And with that same pulling sensation, you can see if you can just pull yourself up slowly and mindfully into a tabletop position. So you might need to adjust the hands slightly so that the wrists are under the shoulders and the hips are over the knees and the toes are hidden behind the thighs. And spreading the fingers so wide that the skin in between them feels like it's stretching, with the wrist creases parallel to the front edge of your mat. And as you take your next inhale, you can just let your belly fall down toward the ground, let your tailbone lift, let your heart lift forward and up. The chin lifts away from the sternum. And as you exhale, tuck the chin down toward the chest, lift the back of the heart, tuck the tailbone, lift the navel toward the spine. As you inhale, moving into your cow pose. And as you exhale, moving into your cat pose. And feel free to take the next few minutes to just move how your body wants to move. And just tune in to what areas of your back or your neck or your hips is wanting some more attention. And feel free to give your body the attention that it's asking for. So if you want some more work in like the outer thighs, you can just let your hips kind of fall toward either direction, to the left and right. You can take some circles with the hips going around the knees. You feel that ball and socket joint just kind of exploring your range of motion. You can continue with the cat-cows. You can wag your tail, look back toward either hip. And you can always just let the eyes close and kind of make this like a dance and just see which ways your spine wants to move. Just kind of imagining the fluid starting to move around the spine, letting the movement be fluid itself. Staying with your breath. If you want to add some rotation into the spine, you can bend one elbow and look over the opposite shoulder and do that back and forth. It can be really nice. We're coming at this entire practice today from a place of curiosity and exploration, exploring what feels good in the body, what doesn't feel good in the body. Even if I cue something, a movement for you to do and it doesn't feel good, then your body is the first teacher. My cues are just suggestions. So letting yourself listen inward first. And taking 3 more breaths, moving how you would like. And meeting back in our neutral tabletop when you are finished. And once you're back in your tabletop, you can let some more weight come into the left hand as you inhale your right arm out to the side and up, so your heart opens up to the right. And as you exhale, let's thread the needle, bringing right arm under left, the right ear or right side of the head and shoulder come to the mat. And you can keep the left hand here, pressing into the ground and starting to bring your gaze more towards the ceiling. You can extend the left fingertips forward so you get more length on the left side of the body, or reach it behind your back. But wherever you are, you can even try grabbing your left hip crease with your hand and just gently tugging that back so that you feel the sacrum is even, the hips are still squared to the front edge of the mat, because naturally the left hip is going to want to come forward, and evening out the hips will deepen the stretch. Awesome. I'm taking about 3 more breaths here, letting your exhales be a release mentally and physically. Great. And then you can start to bring the left hand back to the ground in front of your face if it's left, and just turn your head back to the ground for a moment to pause in this right bicep stretch. And then you can press into the left hand, unwind, reach all the way back up, and exhale back to table. Beautiful. We'll do that on the other side. So when you're ready, you can inhale left arm out and up. And exhale, thread the needle. Oh yeah. Those same options with the right arm on this side. You can walk it forward. You can reach it behind you. You can leave it where it is. And you can also just check in with that right hip. You'll notice it's probably wanting to come forward. So just gently guiding it back so that it feels like your sacrum is even. And if the arm is extended, really exaggerating the distance between the right fingertips and the right hip crease. Maybe bringing your gaze slightly more toward the ceiling, really pressing into the ground with that left arm. A few more breaths. Great. And then you can slowly start to bring the right hand back to the ground in front of the face if it's not there. And just turn your face back to the ground for a moment to pause in this left bicep stretch. And then start to push into the ground with the right hand. Unwind, reach up. Oh yeah. And release. Now from here, we'll come into our puppy pose. So you can leave your hips right where they are. Walk your hands forward, melt the heart down. Ooh, forehead or chin to the mat or a block. And just let all the energy be concentrated on reaching up through the space in between your sit bones. Rooting down in the hands and forearms intentionally, so you're not just dumping weight into the shoulders. This is more active in the shoulders. And feel that kind of wrapping sensation that we feel in down dog, as if like your armpits could face each other almost. Just a really slight wrapping of the traps. Awesome. And then slowly just begin to wave your body forward. We'll come into our Sphinx. So you can feel your tailbone tucked down toward the ground. Feel the forearms rooting down and then your pubic bone being drawn toward the floor, releasing into Sphinx. Maybe walking the elbows forward slightly, just so that you can feel the very bottom of your rib cage on the mat, and that will protect your back a little bit so we don't overstretch. And the forearms are parallel to each other when you're looking down. The big toes can be zipped up, like your inner thighs can be zipped up toward each other, and big toes rooting down into the mat. Pubic bone pressing down, and then trying to relax your glutes at the same time as you're pressing your pubic bone down, which sometimes feels impossible, but just exploring what that feels like. And then that neck is nice and long, so the gaze is right about even with the fingertips. And you're feeling like your heart could come through your upper arms. And on your next exhale, you can slowly release down to the mat, make a pillow with your hands. Bend your feet up toward the bum and just windshield wiper the feet back and forth. Just massaging your belly, releasing your lower back. Great. And then coming back to center with the legs, extending them long on the mat. And this time come up to tented fingertips and bring them just off of your mat. So just off to the sides, even with the front edge of your mat. And as you inhale, lift your heart up. So you're kind of in this wide, perfect. And as you exhale, bring your right shoulder down toward the center and just look over the left. And you inhale back to center. Exhale, dip the left shoulder down, look over the right. And just do that about 2 more times. On either side, move with your breath. Explore what this feels like. And once more on either side. And trying your best to let the breath guide the movement rather than the other way around. Coming back to center when you're complete. Releasing fully to the mat. You can let the hands come under the shoulders now. Let the elbows point up toward the ceiling, zipping them up tight toward your rib cage. Tuck the toes under, and maybe you push yourself up directly to your down dog, or maybe you come up through a tabletop. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Perfect. So just keeping your knees generously bent to begin, just to warm up into this pose and really just focus on the spine. The more the legs are bent, the more focus will go into the spine itself. And the same thing as puppy pose, letting the energy reach up through the space between the sit bones, even with the knees bent. Maybe taking turns pedaling out each foot. So straightening each leg one at a time, maybe looking under each armpit. Just letting yourself warm up into this pose, noticing all the components of it, keeping your hands active, fingers spread wide, just like in our tabletop, keeping that wrapping of the shoulders so the armpits feel like they could almost face each other. And letting your heart reach toward the upper thighs, letting your lower belly pull in and up toward the lower back. Maybe the heels start to become heavy and the legs start to straighten. Maybe you find a little bit of stillness. 2 more exhales. And the next inhale, you can bend the knees once again. Look up toward the top of your mat and just slowly walk your feet up toward the hands. And when you arrive, you can inhale to a halfway lift. So tabletop spine. Exhale to fold. Bending your knees very generously in our first forward fold, just letting everything dangle, letting yourself ragdoll. Maybe you grab opposite elbows. Maybe you wrap the arms behind the legs. Maybe you just let them hang out on the floor. The head can shake yes and no. Just letting it go. Seeing how heavy you can get your torso, knowing that the heavier or the more you release in the head, the face, the torso, the deeper the stretch will be in the spine. And just tracing the back of your body and how long it's getting from the back of the heels, through the backs of the legs, through the glutes, the lower back, middle back, upper back, the neck, and the head. Taking 2 more exhales. And slowly, as you're ready, beginning to roll up the spine, maybe walking the hands up the legs for a little support. Just stacking the vertebrae one at a time, head, shoulders, last to roll up in your mountain pose. I'm just pausing for a moment here, letting the blood settle. Just tuning into your heartbeat. Tuning into your posture, feeling your head over your heart, over your hips, over your heels. Letting the inner thighs pull in and up toward each other. And letting the energy be reaching up through the soles of the feet. Proud across the heart, crown of the head lifting a little bit higher. On your next inhale, you can sweep the arms out and up over the head, getting even longer. And as you exhale, swan dive, lead with the heart, hinge at the hips, and fold all the way down, forward fold. Inhale, lift out of the hips into your halfway lift, just feeling that hinge. And as you exhale, release, forward fold. Plant your hands down and inhale, step back to your plank position. We'll stay here for 3 breaths. Just let the heels reach back, let the crown of the head and the heart reach forward. Feel the strength in your body. Feel your inner thighs pulling toward each other. Awesome. And then bringing your knees down first if you need to, and just slowly bending the elbows alongside the ribs and one piece down to your mat. As you inhale, lift the heart forward and up, baby cobra. As you exhale, release. Next breath, you can push yourself up through a plank into your down dog or through tabletop into down dog and lift the hips. Down dog. 3 big breaths here. Maybe you take a lion's breath, sticking out the tongue, looking up toward the forehead, letting it go. On the next breath in, you can bend the knees, look up, and step up, coming into a halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale and fold. Inhale, root to rise, reach all the way out and up. Maybe a slight back bend. And exhale, hands to heart center. And pause once again. Just check back in. If you had any intention for this practice, reminding yourself of that. Just feeling the rhythm of your heartbeat, letting the face muscles soften, the forehead, the jaw. And as you take your next breath in, you can reach the arms up toward the ceiling. And as you exhale, hinge at the hips and dive all the way down, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine and heart forward, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Plant the hands, step back to your plank. Move through your vinyasa. You can do what we did before, or you can lower halfway, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale to an upward facing dog, and exhale to a down dog. Whatever is in your practice today. Once you arrive in your down dog, you're going to inhale and just step the right foot forward between the hands, maybe using your right hand to get it there. And keep your back heel lifted, and we're going to come into this lower lunge, or a high lunge, I guess. And just let your hips come forward and down, and at the same time, let the back of your back knee lift up toward the ceiling and the heel reach back behind you. Let your left hand plant down and inhale your right arm out to the side and up into this twisted lunge, lifting up and out of your left shoulder. Perfect. Feeling the inner thighs coming toward each other, this pelvic floor lift. One more breath. And exhale, release that arm to the ground. You can let your back knee drop down and either untuck the toes or keep them tucked, whatever feels better. And just start to walk your hands on top of your right thigh. You can interlace them here and just start to push the thigh away from you and lift your heart away from the thigh. So it's a slight back bend. But keep your back leg really active. Keep it rooting into the top of your back foot. Keep your inner thighs pulling in toward each other so you feel that slight lift and you're not dumping too much weight. Perfect. You can imagine there's a string on your heart just gently pulling toward the ceiling. Great, and then bring your right hand to your hip and just start to reach across the right thigh with the left arm. And then maybe you hook that elbow on the outside of the right knee or thigh and bring your hands to prayer into this other version of a twisted low lunge. Maybe looking over your right shoulder, but not forgetting about your left leg, keeping that back leg active, rooting down in the top of the back foot. Perfect. Great. And then you can start to look down at the floor just to unwind. You can release the hands, bring them to frame your front foot. Tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee up. And this time we're just going to step it forward. So you come into pyramid legs. And we're just going to pause in this hamstring stretch on the right side. So you can step your back foot as close as you need to, as wide as you need to, in order to just have the four corners of both feet firm, comfortable on the mat. The hips are squared to the front edge of your mat. And you're continuing to pull the right hip back so that you feel the space from the right heel through the hip. And you can fully release the neck and the head, letting the forehead reach down toward the shin, just breathing. One more exhale. Okay, and then root both hands down You can step your left foot back slightly and your right foot back to meet it in plank. Move through a vinyasa of your choice. We'll meet in down dog. Just really feeling the difference in the legs before we even out. Just noticing what those little stretches can do. And then when you're ready, you can gently step your left foot forward in between the hands and pausing here, just getting your footing here, keeping the right heel reaching back, the hips somewhat heavy, but the inner thighs are still coming toward each other. So there is a slight lift in the pelvic floor. And then the right hand comes down right beneath the shoulder. You inhale, left arm out and up. This twisted lunge. And keeping the energy reaching back through the right heel, not forgetting about this back leg. One more big exhale. And then when you're done, you can release that hand, framing your front foot. Let your back knee drop down, maybe untucking the toes, and just slowly walk the hands to the top of your left thigh. And you can start to push into that thigh, lift the heart away, and continue to feel your tailbone tucking down so that you feel some more length in your lower back. Keeping that back leg active, keeping the heart actively reaching up. Perfect. And then you can bring your left hand to the hip, reach across the body with the right arm, and hook that elbow into this twisted low lunge. Maybe looking over your left shoulder, but still rooting down in the top of your back foot, keeping the pelvic floor lifted and the inner thighs coming in and up toward each other. Keeping the knee pressing toward the elbow pressing back toward the knee. One more breath. Great, and then look down at the ground, unwind the arms. Straighten out the front leg, actually tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and then we'll come into that pyramid pose on this side. So just fully releasing the upper body, letting it fold over the left leg. Letting the face be very soft. The breath is slow and steady. Breathing into the back of your left leg. Two more big exhales here. And then when you're ready, you can plant the hands down, step the right toes back slightly, left toes back to meet it in plank. Move through your vinyasa if you would like, and we'll meet in our downward facing dog. Letting it go whenever you arrive. Bend the knees, look up and step up. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale and fold. Inhale, root down through the feet to rise all the way up and out. And exhale, hands to heart center. Just pausing once again, checking back in. I'm going to do some balancing poses, and then we're going to start to cool down. So we're going to start with a figure four, and then we're going to move into eagle. So you're going to start to shift more weight into the left side of your body. And we'll start with like a tree pose transition. So you can come into kickstand, bring the right heel to the ankle, let the knee reach back. And then start to bring the sole of the right foot up either to the shin or to the inner thigh. And then from here, you can always have a wall nearby for extra balance. But you're just gonna hold onto the right shin. So you're just in tree pose, but you're holding on. And then I like to place my left hand kind of like it's in a half prayer position. And then to start to squat like you're gonna be in chair pose and let the right ankle come on top of the left thigh. And then you can bring that other hand to meet in prayer. So we do this sitting down all the time, or we're just trying it standing up. Find that focal point, stay with your breath. Keep the knee pulling down and away from you. Great. And then from here, you can slowly start to straighten out your left leg. Keep this leg crossed over, and we're just going to transition into an eagle pose. So you can just half cross and keep the right toes on the ground if you like, and then squat down here. Or you can totally wrap the ankle around the left leg. And then whatever leg is on top, so our right leg's on top, so the right arm will be on bottom. And then you cross the left arm over right, and you can just kind of cross it once or wrap it around completely. And this pose, we're really squeezing everything in our body to the center line. So squeeze your inner arms together, squeeze your inner thighs together, squeeze your lower belly in and up. This is a really like detoxing pose. Stay with the breath. Keep that bottom foot that's on the ground, keep that active, the toes. Beautiful. One more round of breath. Great, and then slowly as you can, start to straighten out the left leg. Unwind the legs, unwind the arms, shake them out. And then we'll do the other side. You can just slowly start to transition more weight into your right leg. And we'll do that tree transition on this side. So you can start in a kickstand, just getting comfy, moving up to the inner thigh, or just wherever you can grab hold of the shin. And then just start to squat down into that chair pose, one-legged chair pose. Cross the ankle over and find that focal point. Keep that left foot flexed. Keep that knee actively pressing down and away, just like in our reclined pigeon. And it's okay if you fall, you just get back up. And breathing into this left hip. And now from here, we'll slowly transition into our eagle. So just straightening out the right leg, keeping this leg crossed over. You can just cross it once so that the toes can stay on the ground and support you, or you can totally wrap the ankle around the leg, and then just crossing the arms with the left arm on the bottom, the other side. And just keeping this really active, squeezing your inner arms together, squeezing the inner thighs together, just using your own body for that leverage. Stay with your breath. Maybe you bring the elbows up slightly. Two more exhales. Right, and then slowly straighten out the leg, slowly unwind the arms, the leg, shake them out. Now we'll start to slow down and come down to our backs. So when you're ready, you can just step your feet a little wider than hips with distance, with them feet parallel to each other. You can bring your hands toward your hips and inhale, lift your heart up. And exhale, hinge at your hips, just like tipping over a teapot, just hinging and keeping the back straight as long as possible. And whenever it needs to curl, letting it curl, letting the knees slightly bend. The arms can release wherever they're comfortable. It can be really nice to grab opposite shoulders here and just feel like a fuller release across the back of the heart. And like switching which arm is on top. If you did that. Letting the breath start to catch up. Maybe taking turns, just kind of swaying side to side, bending each leg. Just letting yourself move however the body wants to move, or find the stillness if the body wants that. And take 5 more exhales wherever you are. And then start to straighten out your arms. So you're coming into like a half lift spine. The spine is straight. And then place your right arm on the ground right beneath your face. And then inhale your left arm out and up. So you're in this little twisty wide leg fold. And you'll notice that your left hip wants to come up. And it's okay for a second to do that. And then just level off the hips. And you'll feel the stretch concentrated more toward the shoulders when the hips are squared to the ceiling. Great. And then exhale, let's switch. You can just replace the right hand with the left. Inhale the right arm out and up. Again, maybe the right hip lifts higher for a second, but then let the right hip come down so that you feel this more concentrated in the upper back. Great. And then you can release that hand to the ground. And from here, you're just going to turn your heels in, and maybe you walk your feet in just a touch, setting up for our yogi squat or malasana. Bring your hands to prayer, heart center, elbows come inside the knees, hips sink down as the heart lifts up. Perfect. Feel the heart lifting toward the thumbs pressing back toward the heart, hands pressing toward each other. Backs of the knees are pulling back behind you, opening up the hips. Awesome. And then from here, just reach the fingertips forward with as much control as you can. Let your hips come down and come right into your boat pose. Add a little core work. That helps the back too. So your shins can be parallel to the floor. And your arms can be reaching forward. This can be one. You can also just hold on to the backs of the legs and just keep your heart lifting toward your thighs. You can also straighten out the legs. You can straighten out the arms. The hardest is when the arms are reaching back behind you and you're in like a V shape. Can't do that right now. But just feeling your belly be really active, feeling the heart lifting toward the thighs for 3 more breaths. Maybe pumping the arms. People like to do that. Great. And then slowly let your feet find the ground. Let your knees open up to the side, and we'll just fold right into our butterfly. Release the belly. Really nice counter. Let the belly be completely soft. And allow your breath to travel in and out of the belly so you feel a gentle rise as you inhale and a fall as you exhale. Feel all the muscles of your face just hanging off the bones, just ungripping. Any expression on the face just melting away with this softness. And just noticing the shape that your body's in, tracing your spine, feeling how long the back of your body is. And then you can stay folded. We're just going to walk the hands over toward the right and bring the right hand so it's right on the other side of your right thigh. And your torso is kind of framing your shoulders are framing your right thigh. And just folding here. And you might notice that your left hip is going to want to come up slightly. So just trying to ground that left hip down, and just really feel the back left side of your back stretching here. Wherever you're feeling this the most, just focusing on that area. 2 more exhales. And then slowly just walk the hands back to where you came from, to the center. And then very slowly and gently take that to the other side. So the shoulders are framing your left thigh now. I'm feeling a really nice stretch down the back right side of the body. Noticing if the right hip wants to come up, just grounding that back down. And 2 more exhales. And then we'll slowly just walk the hands back to center and pause for 2 more breaths in the center just to even us out. Maybe folding a little bit deeper than when we started. And then slowly rolling yourself back up to your seat. You can grab the outsides of the thighs and slowly bring them in together. Give yourself a little hug. Great. Then we'll slowly start to make our way down to our backs. If you want to do that little like massage where you kind of roll up and down like this, you can do that if that feels like something you want to do, but totally feel free to leave it if you don't. And then when you feel complete with that, you can just let yourself roll and rest and be on the ground. You can keep the knees hugged into the chest and just keep rocking side to side this time. You can bring the soles of the feet to the ground and do your windshield wipers at any point. I'm going to just take the next about 10 breaths to just adjust to being on your back, whatever way that means to you. And if that's just finding some stillness. And we'll do one more round of stretches before we fully complete this practice. I'm just going to add some torso twists. So you can bring the soles of the feet to the ground if they're not there. And just shift your hips over to the left side of your mat. And maybe you extend your right leg down and just cross your left leg over. Or if there's another version of the reclined twist you want to take with like the knees stacked on top of each other, or twisted root where you're kind of like in eagle legs with the twist. Just letting yourself twist whatever way feels best. And if you want to add a little like IT band stretch down the outside of the left leg, you can grab hold of your left foot with the right hand and just kick your foot into the hand and kind of straighten out that leg. That can be really nice if it's available. And just keeping that left shoulder rooted down, maybe bringing your gaze over to the left side of the mat if it's not there. Keeping your belly really soft. So on each exhale, you can twist just a little bit deeper, even if it's 1 millimeter. Softening your right shoulder, and softening the left shoulder, softening the jaw and the forehead for 3 more exhales. And then you can slowly release the hold of your foot if you were holding on. Slowly bring the hips and the knees back to center, the head back to center. Shift your hips back to center on the mat. And just pause, feel the difference before we move on. Oof. And then when you're ready, you can let the hips shift off to the right. Extend your left leg if you did that on the other side and cross the right leg over. Just taking whatever version of this twist you took on the other side that feels good. Maybe grabbing hold of the right foot, straightening that leg. And just allowing yourself to fully settle into the position that you chose. And letting the left shoulder soften, the left arm soften, the face, the right shoulder and the right arm, the inside and outside of both hips, the lower stomach, all the muscles in your cheeks and your nose and ears, your forehead, your jaw. And 3 more exhales. And then slowly, as you're ready to do so, you can bring your head to center, your hips, knees, shifting your hips back to center. And then reaching your feet up toward the ceiling when you're ready. Reaching your arms up to do the same when you're ready. Maybe shaking them out for a moment to just fully allow all the muscles in the arms and legs to release, and just letting your limbs rest in their sockets. Letting the weight of your legs be pinning down your hips, the weight of your arms pinning down the shoulders. Letting your stomach be super soft and just feeling all the organs in your belly settling into their rightful places. Feeling the body as if it was full of sand, and just all the sand is naturally weighting you down into your mat. All the healing benefits of the poses we practice today are soaking into your back. They're soaking into your muscles, your bones, your cells. And anything that no longer serves you is naturally leaving your body through the soles of the feet, through the palms of the hands. Just a few more moments. And then as you're ready to do so, you can slowly move into a happy baby pose if you want to, opening your hips up to the ceiling, grabbing hold of the feet, the ankles, the thighs, just letting the knees come closer to the armpits, opening up the hips one final time. Maybe rocking side to side or just finding stillness. And then when you're ready, you can let the soles of your feet find each other. Slowly walk the hands up the legs and lower the outside edges of the feet to the mat beneath you. And pausing in this reclined butterfly pose, you can stay here as long as you'd like. And if at any point you feel like straightening out the legs, coming into your final resting pose, your final shavasana, you may do so. And now just releasing all guidance over the breath. You can trust that you have done everything that was asked of you today. This practice has worked and will continue to heal you through the rest of your days and your nights. And all that's required of you now is to rest, is to allow. Allow your body to breathe itself as you come into the role of the witness or the observer. And just simply observe as the body breathes. Observe the muscles across the face as they surrender into their positions. And maybe imagining like a sheet of light or a sheet of a silky, soft fabric just being draped over your entire body. And feeling how that naturally, all the muscles throughout your entire body will feel hugged and feel safe to just release and to be exactly as they are. Knowing that there's no need to hold anything in any sort of position, and that your body is perfect exactly as it is right now. Feeling the pulsing of your heart, the same as the pulsing of your hands, the same as the pulsing of your feet, as the pulsing of your forehead. And just allowing yourself to rest in this healing state of awareness for another minute or so. You can just start to notice how slow your breath has become. And by noticing, you will automatically start to deepen the breath. And then begin to call more air into the body. Feel your body filling up with air from the toes to the fingers to the tip of your head. Fresh air entering the body, starting a new day. Maybe letting that breath start to wiggle the fingers, the toes, rock the head side to side, slowly waking up to the new day. And taking a nice big morning stretch if you'd like it, letting out a big yawn. Making your way into a fetal position in your own time when you're ready. And then from here, slowly making your way up to a seat. And we'll end with our hands at heart center when you arrive. Just taking this moment to deeply thank yourself for showing up, for always showing up, and for your dedication to this practice. And may this act continue to heal you through the rest of your days and nights. May you bring the same love into everything you do and to everyone you see. Namaste.